Hi guys, welcome back to Red Flag Radio F1 YouTube channel. After 1 week of catching our breath post the drama-filled Spanish Grand Prix, it's time to head to Montreal. And trust us, Canada never disappoints. This track has seen chaos, controversy, and career-defining moments. And just when you thought things couldn't get any spicier, Lance Stroll returns home. So let's jump into everything you need to know before the lights go out at the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix. Let's just start with the local hero. He's back. Lance Stroll returns and he missed the last race in Spain after undergoing a medical procedure. But yeah, he's back and all of Canada will be watching. But the question is, can he deliver at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve? What are your thoughts, man?
Okay, my thoughts are, first of all, my first question is the medical procedures he underwent. Did they unsmoothen his brain or is he still a
Well-
window licker?
Well, we will get that answer after this Grand Prix for sure.
Yeah, so
But-
we'll answer this question in a review video. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think he has been unsmoothed. On the other hand, I am glad he's back because it's never a good thing as fans of the motorsport when someone is injured and they can't participate. That's just the worst way to go out of a race. He's not gonna do all, is he though? Because it's not like historically he has done some sensational performance at any track, but specifically Canada. So
Well, he was in points last year,
who
let's say.
gives
So,
a fuck, man? He has like 2-3 points barely, and then anyway, another question.
he has
is-
14 points. He has 14 points. Don't forget that.
This season, yes. We'll
Yes.
see though. Half of it is more than half of it is still remaining. So we'll see. And I'm sure by the end of the season Alonso will outscore him on the championship because there is just no way, if there is a god, there is no way the god will allow Lance Stroll to have more points than his teammate who's Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, man. But since you mentioned Fernando Alonso, he's back in points as well. Like, he needed that points, man. And best place to get those points? Circuit de Catalunya. And finally, he's like now 2 points. Yeah, so he got 2 points. He should be happy. He should be pleased. And definitely Aston Martin need two drivers fighting for those at least lower end points, right? If Stroll is not there, then definitely Alonso is showing that he can get some points now. And I think there was so much bad luck going on for Alonso. So finally, some points to add. And yeah, I think that's a good sign for Aston Martin considering Lance Stroll is back. And people thought that maybe, Felipe Dragovic will drive for Aston Martin. Probably that will be something, long awaited and we will see another Brazilian driver on track. But yeah, I think he will be busy in the 24-hour Le Mans race, right?
Yeah. So, which is amazing, by the way, because as fans of motorsports, this weekend is gonna be amazing, right? We're gonna have Le Mans,
Absolutely.
we're gonna have F1. It's going to be amazing. And yeah, okay, we called it in our last video, in the Spanish GP review video, that I don't think and we don't think that Lance is going to stay out of the car, at least at his home race. Like, even if he's a little
Yeah.
bit injured, maybe he'll stop being a pussy for 2 minutes and take part in the race. But yeah, his home Grand Prix definitely not one to miss. And jokes aside, I do hope that Aston Martin scores double points. Not because I like Lance Stroll, but because I like Aston Martin.
Oh, that's a breaking news for us as well, man. Since when you started liking Aston Martin?
Since Alonso started scoring points.
Oh, that's good to know, man.
Yeah, see, the thing is, they have hired and they've poured a lot of money into not only the technological aspect but also the staff. So it will be a shame for someone as accomplished as Adrian Newey to fail. So on that principle alone, I think it's due to Newey and due to that new wind tunnel that I think one of the Aston Martin staff said that the Red Bull wind tunnel is shit. But anyway, I digress. The point is, I do like Aston Martin because they did show signs of fighting at the top a couple of seasons ago with a lot of podiums from Alonso. But yeah, then that just got tanked big time. So I don't think that went well. But then that just means that even without Newey, if they were fighting for podiums, maybe with Newey, with Daddy Stroll's money, maybe they do fight for proper championship soon.
Well, I hope so. As someone who is supporting Aston Martin since the start, I think that will be the best side for me. Let's imagine you as a McLaren fan and I am Aston Martin fan. We both our teams just fighting for those wins.
As long
Imagine
as
the
we're
debates.
cumulatively praying for Red Bull's downfall, I'm on board with everything.
Well, now that you mentioned Red Bull, let's talk about Red Bull then, shall
Yeah,
we?
the problem with Red Bull now is that Max is sincerely not able to deliver, even after their upgrade package from the Spanish Grand Prix, which was supposedly supposed to not only uplift their car but also tank McLaren's car, and a sum total of all of those things happened. So it's not looking good for them, especially for Max Verstappen, because fine, he's bringing in points consistently. Okay, no one can take that away from him. He's the only driver who's fighting for Red Bull's life in the Constructors' Championship. But at what cost? Currently at the cost of 11 penalty points. But then how much further does this go? And how did he even manage to get 11 points, 11 penalty points before the season is even halfway through?
Well, there's a quick recap for you. I'll give you that because I
Yeah.
have those pointers. The first one was in Austria 2024 when he collided with Lando Norris, when they were fighting for that win, and he got 2 penalty points there. And your favorite driver won that race, George Russell. He's always there to grab those opportunities.
King
Then,
Snake, man.
yeah, and then moving straight forward to Mexico, where he forced Lando Norris again off the track and he got 2 more penalty points. That takes it to 4. Now in Brazil, there was a VSC Delta infringement for which he got another penalty point. Yeah, that's the sad part. And then moving on to Qatar, he was driving unnecessarily slow during the qualifying and he got another penalty point, which takes it to 6. Now, in Abu Dhabi 2024, he collided with Piastri, another McLaren driver, so 2 more penalty points. And last in Spain, he got 3 penalty points after colliding with Russell. So that's the reason why he has 11 penalty points. And now
Yes.
one more penalty point, man. And this is something we never thought we will discuss, man. That one more incident, one more silly mistake, he will be banned for that race. And it's a snowball of aggression, frustration, and risky moves. And now every lap counts from here, because if Max slips up again, he'll be watching the next race from the sidelines.
Oh,
and
dude.
for a
I need some time alone with a lotion and tissue after this. That was such amazing monologue to hear, man. Just the fact that most of the time when he racks those penalty points up, it's against McLaren drivers. Just having
Yeah.
a shattering orgasm right now.
The best thing I think McLaren drivers can do is probably tease Max Verstappen so that he can get one more
Yeah, they
penalty
should
point
get
and he's
into
out.
more battles with him. I'm sure Max is, because Max doesn't seem like the kind of driver who's patient by any stretch of the imagination, right? So the McLaren drivers just need to get into battles with him on purpose so that Max himself shoots himself in the because I'm sure that's gonna happen.
The only thing Max Verstappen needs to do is to survive 2 races, and if he does that, he can, avoid that race ban. So whether that will happen or not, I doubt. But it's a tricky part. But imagine the headlines that a 4-time world champion gets a race ban because he was reckless. So I feel Montreal will be critical, and he has to be aggressive, but he can't be reckless by any means. So this will be an interesting sight to see. This will be an interesting case to watch, because I haven't seen Max Verstappen being cautious by any means, right?
Yeah, for once in his life, Max needs to drive and think and have the temperament of Oscar. That's the only way he is going to survive. Maybe even bags another podium or something. We'll see. That remains to be seen. But yeah, he needs to have Oscar's or Kimi Raikkonen's temperament. Not Kimi Raikkonen's temperament when he's not being given his gloves and steering wheel, but
steering wheel. Claps the steering wheel here. Give me steering wheel. Hey! Hey! Steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to me. Come on! Move!
other than that,
Yeah, man. And I feel it will be a tough ask for Max Verstappen, but if we are talking about the 4-time world champion, I'm sure he knows what he is doing.
Yeah.
So let's see how he will handle that, because it won't be easy for sure. But I think he can survive that, because I don't think Red Bull would be happy with the main driver not scoring any points in last race and now getting a race ban. So let's see how that goes, because you have the other driver, Yuki Tsunoda, who is just completely out of the picture, man. I mean, not the season he needed. And that's how we always say about all the second drivers who has taken part for Red Bull Racing.
Yeah, at least
It's
he
crazy.
has some points, okay, as opposed to his other fellow teammates. But it's not enough, is it? You can't bring 2
Absolutely.
points in a race and 1 point in another race and call it a good car, or call it, oh, I'm fighting for the constructors. You're not, brother. But I guess this is a good enough segue to talk about the team that is absolutely creaming the constructors, which is McLaren F1 Racing. And yeah, so Montreal is a track that generally gives us an entertaining race. And
Absolutely.
clearly Oscar and Lando both have sparks of pace in them, even though clearly Oscar has been more consistent. In fact, he's one of only 3 McLaren drivers to consecutively have these many podiums. But whether
Yeah, I
it's going
think
to be Lando on pole or Oscar on pole, I don't know. But we just could get a good battle, I feel.
that's the story of 2025 season now, with Max Verstappen getting only 1 point in Spain. And there's that, he has to go with that precaution approach, that he can't fight that hard. I feel probably we should accept that maybe this is the fight between Piastri versus Lando. If something disastrous happens at McLaren's side, probably we can say that Max Verstappen is back in this championship hunt. But considering Oscar Piastri now just won in Spain after, not winning in Monaco, I feel this is probably another race weekend where we will see Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris fighting hard for that P1 spot. That's how I see it at the moment, right?
Yeah, and I think this is the point where Lando absolutely must win the race to keep himself in the running, because if Oscar gets one more race, that's just more stress added to Lando's workload to do catching up. And obviously he has been better than last season, but clearly he does not have the temperament of a person who can handle stress well.
Yeah, he needs to concentrate on his race starts, man. If that goes well, probably he can fight hard with Oscar Piastri, because we are still waiting for that, wheel to wheel battles for that race win, because we haven't seen that so far. And if he can, navigate Max Verstappen initially, probably he can fight with Oscar Piastri. That's how I see
The
it.
only play for Lando is to get poles, don't fuck up your start, just evaporate into the distance and keep it like that for the rest of the race. Keep your nose clean, just finish the race, no nonsense. Provided the strategy doesn't get him fucked either, because that could be a possibility. But yeah, he can't let Oscar get another win, because okay, Lando has been with McLaren for so long that he had to ride out McLaren's bad years. And
Yeah.
that's fine. But Oscar has been gaining so many victories, more than Lando at McLaren. First of all, that has got to be depressing. And secondly,
Yeah.
now he's also about to overtake Leclerc for race wins, right? So that's just
Yeah.
a crazy thing. And Lando and Leclerc are from the same generation. So they've been at their respective teams for very long. They've seen ups and downs with their teams. But bottom line is, you can say that Oscar came in during McLaren's peak era, but you can't rob him of the fact that he is the guy who made a fool out of Max Verstappen for an overtake. He made Max make a
Yeah.
mistake. He's one of the
Yeah.
only drivers to do that in 4 years?
Yeah, absolutely. And let that sink in, that probably Piastri will overtake Leclerc in race wins. It's not something I predicted when the season started, but here we are. Piastri, the calm, calculated, and ruthless guys who is just making every other driver feel like a fool that you're
Yeah.
not driving a McLaren, except Lando. But it's a crazy part right now, and I feel Piastri will get that win very soon.
And that's when
I think
Leclerc commits suicide, right?
with all the fans behind Leclerc, probably not, because
Yeah, but
you
then
need that entertainment.
you're quite right about that. But then you can't rely on Leclerc fans, right? Ferrari fans are still depressed. And I think okay, you know what? This is a great time to talk about Ferrari. What the fuck are they gonna do now? They have done their upgrade packages. They have done whatever they could in terms of finding pace mechanically or aerodynamically. Leclerc is doing his best to get P2, P3 whenever he can. Hamilton,
Yeah.
apart from that one sprint win in China, all. Again,
Yeah.
so it's quite right that the Ferrari is the only team whose two drivers are consistently bringing in the meat and bones of points. That's why they've managed to leapfrog everyone and get to P2. But as far as race wins go and race performance goes, Hamilton is falling apart at the seams for sure. But then Ferrari as a whole, where do they go from here? Do you think they're going to improve, or is this the tone for the rest of the season? They might get P2 in constructors, but don't expect any flashy stuff.
I think that's the story, to be honest, because even though they are P2 in constructor standings, no one is happy with their performance so far. The only, silver lining is both drivers are scoring regularly, which is not the case with Red Bull and now even with Mercedes. So that's the reason why they are P2 in standings. And, they are very close to the point where they just have to accept that probably this is the best they can get at the moment. So I don't think that's something they will enjoy, but at least I think it could be worse. Maybe P4 in the constructor standings, considering all the drama we saw where they got a double disqualification.
Yeah.
So they are doing better, and probably 2 back-to-back podiums they have. Obviously, podium is not what they really want, but if they can't get a race win, then probably that's the best thing they can ask for. And if they can get a third podium in Canada, probably they will be happy. But I feel Lewis Hamilton will do better here, considering this is a track where he won his first race.
To that first Grand Prix victory. There he is. Well, he's rewriting the book of what is possible in Formula One. If he can do this after 6 races, what might he achieve in the future? Lewis Hamilton wins!
And historically he has done really well. So Canada should boost his chances, and whether he will perform well for Ferrari, I really hope so, because it has been a very depressing phase for him where he's just silent after every race. And the last race weekend where we saw even Nico Hülkenberg was able to overtake him, that was not a good sight, man. And I don't know what else I can say.
Yeah, good job bringing that up, because Hülkenberg overtaking a Ferrari in a Sauber is still something that plagues my mind. In a very funny way, of course. I love the fact that he managed to do that, but from a perspective of the team that's been there since the day one of Formula One, this is not what we expect. We can spend time all the live long day making jokes about their strategy or their car or their driver's mental health or whatever, but the bottom line is that after we remove all that trivia out of the way, where is Ferrari? They are nowhere. Mercedes has been getting more podiums this season than them as well, and aside from mechanical issues in the past 3-ish races, they could very well have been P2 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that they are facing those reliability issues, and that's the reason why they are not P2. Because initially, the way Antonelli as well as Russell were performing, and Russell was always there fighting with McLaren as well as Max Verstappen and finding the some way or another to be on that podium. So it's interesting case to see. I feel probably this is the race weekend where Mercedes will bounce back, considering this is the track where they will get low temperatures, which is a positive side for Mercedes. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. But Russell has been strong in Canada as well, considering he was on par with Max Verstappen last year when both drivers clocked the same time in qualifying. So it will be an interesting case, but they need a reliable car to get those crucial points, because let's be honest, Kimi's talent is being wasted right now, considering in Imola that DNF costed him in his home race some crucial points, and now even in Spain that DNF again brought all the chaos in the whole picture. So they need both reliable cars fighting hard with McLaren, with Max Verstappen as well as with Ferrari, because I feel if they have those two reliable cars at top, definitely they can leapfrog Ferrari very soon.
And the best part is that going forward from Canada, they can very well find pace and they can very well find performance. as long as they just get their together in terms of reliability. Because Kimi Antonelli is clearly the kind of person who does not roll over and show his belly while racing, right? And that it is due to that reason that Mercedes does have more pace than Ferrari. But if they can just get their act together and get the car running for 50 to 70 laps consistently, Mercedes will definitely overtake Ferrari in the next couple of races, probably.
Yeah, that's how I see it as well. And probably we will see that probably in post race we will have that part, but let's see how that goes. And definitely they need those reliability issues to be resolved, considering they are very close to getting some penalties if they continue facing issues with their engine or any reliability issues, I see.
Yeah, and that is just not a good sign. Because then that will cement Ferrari in P2. Because once Mercedes starts taking grid penalties or for new components, it's just game over. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, the middle of the year break will, I'm sure, contribute to their performance, and many teams will bounce back. But that's just simply not a gamble you can take if you have already started taking in new components before the halfway mark.
Yeah, and as we think, every team will probably get some penalties, and if you're doing that, at the mid-season, that will be a big task to handle, especially for the, next half of the season. So let's see how that goes. But we can move on to the next team who is doing so well, and talking about the Red Bull B team. Isaac Hajar, he's making a serious case for himself right now. Like if Max Verstappen gets banned for one race, we might see Hajar as well in Red Bull. Initially I never thought that this will happen in the same season, but
Yeah.
there's a huge shout that it can happen if something goes wrong for Max Verstappen. And whether that is the promotion that he needs, or that's just a demotion considering how Red Bull is performing, I don't know, man. And even VCARB CEOs is saying that don't take Hajar to Red Bull. He's doing so well for Racing Bulls. We don't want to see him there. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting case. Obviously, Hajar is doing great work, man. He has been consistently fighting for those points, and he's delivering.
Yeah.
Considering the other driver is not doing that well. So the consistency he is bringing to Racing Bulls, that's the reason why they are fighting very close to, Williams as well. So
The thing is that, as you correctly pointed out, Hajar should definitely treat going into the Red Bull seat as a demotion. Therefore, coming back to the original point, he's been consistently bringing in the tail end of the points every race since the past 3 or 4 races now. And that is a great job for a mid-table team. They are not
Yeah.
going to be fighting Williams anytime soon for the mid-table championship, but at least they're cementing their place as not the worst team or not the second worst team. Those rights belong to Aston Martin and Haas and Alpine. I think they're the ones fighting for the losers championship right now. But
yeah.
yeah, Lawson is the guy who can really sort of cement P2 in the mid-table championship for Racing Bulls, and he's not doing it. So earlier in the season, we talked about how he's a good choice for Red Bull because he was doing a great job last year in Racing Bulls, overtaking Red Bull's second driver on occasions as well. And then this season he got demoted to Racing Bulls, and then we claimed that maybe he'll be good in the Racing Bulls because he's already used to that car. He has historically done that well in that car. But aside from that one-off incident of Monaco, where, let's face it, it's not rocket science to hold up the grid in Monaco. So
Yeah.
he really needs to deliver going this race forward if they want any shot at cementing themselves in the middle of the order.
Absolutely, man. He's under the fire. And don't forget, Arvind Lindblad has been granted a FIA Super License exception upon request by Red Bull. So
Yeah.
if there's that case where, Hajar is demoted to Red Bull and Arvind Lindblad drives for Racing Bull, and if he's able to overtake or, perform better than Liam Lawson, imagine the scenes and what will happen. And probably Liam Lawson will be saying goodbye to Formula One
so
if that
then
happens.
we'll get 5th, 6th and 7th driver changes for Red Bull and VCARB this season, because then Lindblad will go into the second Red Bull seat, Yuki will be put back in Racing Bulls, and Hajar after that one race will be put back in Racing Bulls.
It's the never-ending musical chairs game here, man. It's always that case.
Red Bull
And I
script
don't
is
know.
definitely written by an ADHD patient. Let's move on to the legend himself, Nico Hülkenberg. We already alluded to the fact that he overtook Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton no less, in a Ferrari. But do we really think that this is going to be a tone-setting performance? Because let's face it, it's still a Sauber. They can
Yeah.
get everything right, but they're one of those teams that can get everything right once a season.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
do you really think this is something we might see again? Even if it's just once more for the rest of the season, are you going to see Nico Hülkenberg fighting close to the podium somewhere?
I really hope so, man. We really want to see Nico Hülkenberg on that podium. And they got that kick for this race. And probably that's the reason why they were P5 in the race standings. And obviously, credit to Max Verstappen as well, who got that penalty. So, in a way, it was a shock, but everything was so perfect in that race. And that's something we don't see consistently for any team. So I don't think he will be fighting for P5, P6 or close to podiums in every race. But that's the best opportunity they had and they took it. So for the fight, for that losers standings, I think that's the best thing they could have done. And getting those 10 points definitely cements their place closer to a
Middle of
VCARB.
the order, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the best thing they could have done. But the best thing for them is that the upgrades are working and they are not at the back now. They are definitely closer to the midfield battle, which is what they need at this point. And considering the overhaul is coming in 2026 with the Audi team, I think that's the good side for them, that they can fight at least. And with the approach they took with these upgrades, definitely there are some positives that they can look forward for 2025 as well as for 2026. And especially Bortoleto as well, who has been, I feel he's under the radar considering he's doing so well in qualifying, but something goes wrong and it's not just that perfect race for him.
I think the problem is that not as much as Red Bull, but perhaps a little bit the Sauber second seat is also cursed, because they get drivers in that do all right. They don't fuck up
Yeah.
as much. They finish their races. They don't incur a lot of damage on the cars. Like Joe Guanyu as well, but he had such a quiet career that he just faded away and he was also sacked eventually. But I don't hope I will never hope this for Bortoleto, because he does seem to be more talented. And yeah, I just hope he gets to survive this year. And if it is really the case that those upgrades are putting them on the radar, then I hope Bortoleto also starts fighting for those tail end points, because then we get to see battles throughout the 10 points positions.
Probably his time will come. He has that time, and definitely he will score some crucial points for Sauber, because that car is in much better shape now. Considering we are talking about Sauber in like 6th or 7th point, so that's an upgrade. Considering we used to talk about Sauber at last, so
Exactly.
let's see how that goes.
Yeah, but then sadly the team that has gotten a little bit demoted is Williams in this order because of their previous race and no points from either drivers. It may be too soon to speculate on whether the upgrades have actually been downgrades for them, but the point is, fine, Albon also had incurred a lot of damage and they ran out of wings. We can discount that as well, but then Sainz is again not doing anything. After a couple of decent races, he had sort of set hopes for all of us that he's now on the path to helping out Williams and fighting for P6, P5, P7, something along those lines. But he's not been able to do anything at his home race, man. It was a shabby race and it was nothing to talk about. There was nothing to talk about him as well. It was very quiet. It was very meaningless almost.
Yeah, man, no points for Carlos Sainz in his home race. Something that has never happened so far, and he has always scored points, whether it was for Renault, for McLaren, for Ferrari. So this was something, and probably even Williams said even before the race that this can happen. They were not that confident for this race.
Yeah.
But I feel they should do better here, considering the car they have is much better than how it was. And historically, Williams has done decent in Canada.
Yeah.
Not the best, but definitely better than how they used to perform on other tracks. So I think they will do better here. they definitely need a bounce back weekend, and probably this could be the one. They would love to see fighting probably Ferraris again if they get that opportunity. Carlos Sainz would love that sight again.
Yeah, especially since he is always itching to fight Hamilton, even if the move doesn't necessarily stick. He just wants to remind Ferrari that they chose the wrong second driver, even if he himself said that any other driver he would have been upset. But if it's a 7-time world champion, he sort of understands. That doesn't mean he's going to lie down and forget about the betrayal that Ferrari has bestowed upon him. But
Oh, absolutely.
since you mentioned teams that have got to recover, Alpine also needs to recover. They have now become dead last, I believe. And
Yeah.
Gasly was doing so well, man, but he has just fallen off. And
Yeah.
maybe this is another race where they could bring in some points. I feel like they should bring in some points. There is nothing special to talk about Colapinto in my opinion, because as much as I like him and I really wanted him to succeed, I don't think this is going anywhere. And therefore, we might see yet another driver change for Alpine as well. But that's a good thing. It sort of makes sense, right? Just the season before the one where there are massive regulation changes, it makes sense to try out multiple drivers to see who you want to keep for the new regs. But
Yeah.
not at the cost of race wins or points finishes or your constructors' standings.
Yeah, true, man. And even though Alpine did score in Spain, but barely any points to show considering Sauber did so well. And that's the reason why they are 10th in the standings now. Gasly is doing well, but the other side, yeah, I think Franco Colapinto is on the thin ice because one more bad weekend and his 5-race audition might end early. That's how I see it. Even if he scores 1 point, I think it's a successful audition. He has done better than Jack Doohan, but in those 3 races, he was horrible. And I really want to sugarcoat in any way, but there's nothing to talk about. Yes, he had some bad luck as well with all the issues during the qualifying, but nothing to show as well from his side as well, right?
Alpine is last in the standings, but they were showing signs of pace. They were definitely supposed to be the fighters against Williams. That ship has sailed clearly, but who do you think is even close to fighting Williams in the middle table championship? Is it Haas? No way. No way it's Haas.
No, probably not. Probably weak up, but there's only one driver who is fighting with them. So I don't know, man, but it's not Alpine by any means at the moment.
And Haas is also only peddling one guy, right? Because it's only Ocon who is doing anything. Behrman had those amazing overtakes, but not much after that. Esteban Ocon is the one who alternate races bring some points in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a classic Haas story where one weekend they shine, but the next dead last. That's how it's always has been. And maybe in Canada they will do better considering they were dead last in Spain. Who knows? If it rains, probably Ocon can do something heroic, right? And I don't know what will happen from Ollie's side because nothing to show from his end as well. So it's just a classic Haas story, right? Nothing to talk about.
Exactly. And congratulations to Haas for taking Sauber's place as the team where we struggle to talk about because you do fuck all in the race.
Yeah, it's just the classic story, but probably we will have something to talk about after the race because it's just that weekend where they probably won't be dead last. So we'll see.
Time will tell, I suppose.
So let's cover the final part, which we love the most, the predictions. And there's that one wild card that probably it can rain because there's that 30% chance of rain. And historically, Montreal has served some wild wet weather drama before. So strategy, safety cars, and more chaos. So I feel if it pours, expect some shock results. And that's the reason why I will throw this mic towards you. And you can throw the best predictions you have in your head.
So I think I'm going to take this seriously this weekend. And given the minor chance of rain, I think I will go with a very fair prediction of a McLaren 1-2. But I think pole
Daring.
position. Daring, indeed. But I think pole position probably Lando. And
Oh.
my race order top three would have to be, man, I hate to say this, but probably Oscar, Lando, and Russell.
Oh.
Feels bad for Lando, that's why I hate it. Not, and also I hate it a lot because I have to put Russell on podium, but I have to
Yeah.
give credit where credit is due. I cannot be biased all the time. But yeah, if they have a clean race, McLaren 1-2 yet again probably, and Russell P3. And as for my out of the box predictions, man, I think one of the McLarens might DNF this race.
So you are saying it will be a 1-2 but a McLaren DNF.
Yeah, either it'll be a 1-2 or wild prediction McLaren DNF. In which case, of course, not a 1-2.
Interesting. Fair enough.
It's just this weird feeling in my gut, I might be wrong and I fucking hope I'm wrong, but yeah.
Well, fair enough. It can be a daring one and something out of the box for sure. If I have to give some pole position prediction, I have to go with your daring approach as well, but I'll just say that I think Oscar Piastri will be on pole. And race win, I think he can reciprocate that and probably get that race win as well. But I feel this will be an out of the box prediction as well. I feel both Mercedes drivers will be on podium. It will be Russell P2 and Kimi Antonelli P3, and he will get his first podium. That's how I see it.
Wow, that is amazing. Not for fucking Russell, he can go himself. But for Antonelli, yeah, I would love that to be true, man. And I hope these predictions come true.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I thought of going with that daring approach and give Kimi Antonelli that spotlight. He deserves it, and he's getting shafted with the car he has got. So probably I think this will be the race weekend that will go in Mercedes' favor, and probably they can do better here. So let's see. Probably he can get his first podium.
Yeah, and in case he DNFs in this race as well due to a mechanical issue, I swear next race onwards he's not putting race fuel. He's gonna put extra virgin olive oil in his car.
Imagine the table banging going on, and I think it won't be Toto Wolff. It will be Kimi Antonelli doing that if that happens.
But yeah, about tables, man. But he might start banging Toto's mom after another DNF due to mechanical issues. That's for sure.
Yeah, probably. Who knows? But yeah, I think we are diving into all this, and probably you can find all the insights and all the updates on our Instagram channel as well. But if you are loving the chaos of 2025 and want to be part of our racing banter, please hit that like button and show your support by subscribing to our channel. And don't forget, this is the place where you will always get some unfiltered banter, man. We are here just to bring some smile on your face, unless you're a Max Verstappen fan, because there's nothing much to
or
say
a
there.
Russell fan, or a Lance Stroll fan, or an Esteban Ocon fan.
But probably F1 will bring more smile if you support those drivers. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. But let's just say when the drama hits, we are waving the red flag. So see you in Canada. Goodbye.